att man inte är trådlöst. Det finns inte ett trådlöst system som fungerar i Vattenfall. Men de håller på med
And we're back for another Lunch with Stone Hansen. It's Gerald Glassford. We're back at you here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Truly appreciate you joining us. It is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the guy behind so many things, including at report_court on Twitter, as well as Upside Swings. One member of the troop there. They've been doing some exciting things. And with one of the best drafts in quite some time around the corner in some people's eyes, you'll get to go ahead and hear the guys there, but I'm sure he'll elaborate more on that. It is Stone Hansen. What's up, my friend?
Not much is happening over here. I'm
All right.
trying to not freeze my butt off. I'm tired of these 20-degree days. I'm not used to them, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Well, there you go. Indeed. Stone, the only thing colder than a December day on the East Coast is the Lakers shooting and the Lakers' dismal play overall, including one of the worst. I know Joe doesn't value defense during the season. He doesn't usually want to bother with it, but let's face facts, my friend. Part of the reason why the Lakers are 12-10, but since 10-4 have gone 2-6 is because of that defense. Something that you and I had mentioned before previously as a concern has grown even bigger and wider. Even the defenders on this team, like Cam Reddish and Gabe Vincent, have provided little resistance for guys like Tyler Hero, who just lit up the Lakers. So today, Trae Young is on the way in Atlanta to face off against the Lakers. But until then, we have to lament over what's going on with the Lakers at this point. JJ is embarrassed and then gets embarrassed. Past two games have lost by a combined 70 points. Defense is now, I think, third from the bottom, 27, 28th in that range. So, yeah, nothing to pride about themselves there. Your thoughts on where this disaster has gone, but in essence, you had predicted it all along.
Yeah, I think I had them as the 11th seed when you sent over
did.
those preseason predictions. And obviously, there's 75% of the season still to go. So I don't want to do any victory laps at this point. But I don't see them doing anything more than their ceiling is what we've been doing in previous years, scrapping for that 8th seed, for the 9th or 10th seed, just to get into the play-in, coming down to the final 5 games or whatever. That's where we're destined again. Maybe this season even worse, because we stayed the same this year, Gerald. Every other team, not every, but most other teams in the West got better. So when they get by that measurement, we actually got worse. I told you I was able to come on here today. I'm here to spread one message. 3 years ago, I said it here and there. 2 years ago, I said it almost every episode. Last year, I laid back a bit on it because I didn't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm not laying on it anymore. I'm saying it every time I'm on the show. It's time to blow it up. It's time to start over, scrap the team, start from the very bottom, trade AD, let LeBron retire or trade him, but he's not going to get traded, obviously. But start over. Obviously, we want. I listen to the show still, even though I'm not on all the time. I know Joe wants the Guggenheims to buy the team. That's great. I think I'm in agreement that Genie should sell the team. But from what we have to work with right now, what the cards that we are dealt, I think it's time to blow it up and start over. And I think a lot of Lakers fans aren't going to want to hear this. Anyone who is a Laker fan and has a brain knows that we're not contending for a championship at this point. But I think it's good that we're losing. I want us to lose more for this season. I want us to lose and lose because it forces us. It forces pressure on the team to go, okay, we need to sit down and change something drastically, because if we're getting blown out like this, and if we're losing, and if we're halfway through the season and we're below 500 by 5 or 10 games, and our losses are really bad, and we're only beating the really bad teams, it starts to force some uncomfortable questions for the team. And maybe this is enough to push LeBron into retirement if he just has a disastrous season or continues to do so, and this team just continues to spiral downward. So I, as a Lakers fan, am preying on the Lakers' downfall. As weird as that may sound, I want the Lakers to lose because it forces this organization to do something else drastic. And my hope is that it's by starting over, because that's sort of what they've been pointing to by keeping these picks and being reluctant to move them. And I think that that is the right move moving forward.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen at report_court on Twitter. Go ahead and check out what he's talking about when it comes to the NBA draft. Plus, he and the guys at the Upside Swings Draft Podcast. You got to go ahead and check out there as well. I had said to Joe, is this door officially closed with LeBron and AD? Got them a championship, and he's didn't want to definitively said yes, but he was pretty much on the line to say this probably closed. I think it's definitively closed. I think if it was somebody that was hanging on by dear life, the door has shut, the window has closed, somebody's fingers have been chopped off. It's just too late at this point for those two to win a championship or build a team around them that can. I think it's just a reality that a lot of these individuals out there that are fans like us have to face. But the people that don't face it, I think, in my opinion, are Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, who still think that they can still build a winning team around a LeBron and AD. Maybe it's for monetary purposes. Maybe it's for other reasons why. Maybe they just feel that they still can do it because they did it in this century. In this decade. Your thoughts? I think you already know the answer based off your comments just recently right now, but this window for you, I think, has closed.
We squeezed the last bit of window that was left in 2020. I think it definitively closed in 2021, and I've kind of been saying that since 2021. I think once I think two things happened. One is that we obviously got rid of our supporting players, or let go of them, or let them go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I'm not even that sure that LeBron and AD are guys you can build a championship team around with as your number 1 and 2 players. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that because they put up great numbers and everything. I'm not fully convinced of it anymore, especially this year with LeBron declining. And that's not to say they're not good players still. They're excellent players. I don't know if either one of them is a championship number 1 player at this point. And so I think there's two things happening. There's a couple of factors here. One is that we don't have the assets to bring back better or upgrade our supporting players to the degree that we would need to contend. And number two, that's assuming that both LeBron and AD are still capable of leading a contending team to a championship. I think both are great players still. Especially, we don't have to go on and on about LeBron. What he's doing is unprecedented at his age, but he's not, I don't think at this point in time, a top 2 player on a contending championship team. And I think that a lot of people are going to disagree with that and not like that, but I think it's just true at this point.
So let me ask you this, because for both of us, the window has shut, but you said it's been shut since 2020. What if the Lakers had found or had kept maybe a player here or a piece there, made a better adjustment with a better GM in place at this point or at that point? Could you see the run in 23 playing out a little bit differently had that been the case?
I think the run in 23 was fluky in many ways. I think we could have maybe gone to the finals but then you're talking about That would mean that the 2020 team, it would just be a completely different reality than what happened, right? Like we would have kept really core members of that 2020 championship. We would have probably had a different coach. If you really wanted to keep that window open, those things would have happened, and that's just a different realm of reality than what went on. So I think it's almost just um, pointless to really consider what might have happened because none of it did, and the Lakers didn't, take that opportunity to do so when they had the chance. If they could have done it, maybe it's hard to say without knowing what pieces or would have stayed, what coach would have brought in outside of him. Things could have broke their way, maybe, but it wouldn't. I guess in a roundabout way to answer your question, it wouldn't be as sealed and taped up and glued shut as it is currently. I guess would be my best answer for that.
Okay. No, I'm just asking because again, had a better GM in place. Maybe for me, I think you could have made enough adjustments or retained the right people, like a Caruso, et cetera, where you might have fielded a better team and fielded even a better run than they had in 2023. But after that, the wheels have come off. LeBron has become a different player. I think at that point in time, I know we started to see the signs in 2022 and 2023, but last season and this season, he is primarily a jump shooter at this point in time. His driving to the basket is very selected, to say the least. He still has days where he gets angry and gets mad and tries to turn back the clock offensively, but he is nothing defensively at this point. He doesn't even try it at all 99% of the possessions out there, which is a problem because you already have defensive inefficiencies all around. And Anthony Davis, who we all lauded for a long time, is no longer the defensive force. Let's just get that out there. He's now in his 30s. He is no longer, or maybe doesn't want to be any longer, the defensive stalwart for the Lakers. So that has led to a defense that is, just checked again, is 27th in the league out of 30 teams. And that's pretty depressing when you look at it because that's a large part of why they've been on this losing streak.
I think AD is still capable of being that defensive force that we had seen in the past, but two things are at work. One is that I don't think he's motivated at this point to be that because why put in all that effort when you know that your best chance is making an eighth seed? Like, does that really mean all that much to you? And number two, I think AD was highlighted in a way where previously with him, his defense was out of this world because it had to be because that's what our defense was just push everyone to AD funnel system defensively, and I think that highlighted AD as the defensive player that he was. But at this point in time, that's not the defensive scheme that JJ runs. So there's a little bit of that, and the other thing is just he's not motivated. What motivation does he have to put that fourth of effort in to be an eighth seed? When I think what really happened when you watched the Lakers this season, from my perspective, this is outside looking in, they got off to a great hot start, right? Very super hot start. LeBron looked like Steph Curry the first few games. They looked really good to start the season. They didn't look like a contender to me, but they looked way better than what they are currently. I think LeBron and AD came into this season with some doubts, but they saw it play out over the first handful of games, and they were like, maybe we have a chance to be something more to outplay our expectations of what we had thought coming into this season. After getting blown out multiple times, I think that they've come to the realization, they've come back to earth that this is just the same team we've been playing with over and over again. And I think honestly, it's depressing. It's got to be depressing when you're putting that much effort in game out. You're getting these results with the same team. The front office is not listening to the needs of the team or watching the needs of the team. So I think they're completely out of steam, out of motivation to put forth previous efforts that they had in previous years. And I do think LeBron is declining as well. But I think when you look at the Lakers and take a step back, that's really what's happening. Is their two best players are not motivated to continue playing the way they were because they know how it's going to end, and everyone watching knows how it's going to end at this point.
Intel says, by the way, he wants you back on the West Coast. So get on the plane now and come move back to the West Coast immediately, according to
Pay
Intel.
for my house if you want to, if you want that to happen.
Also here today, good man indeed. He is eating his lunch, which I will probably eat a little bit off camera here. He's a good man indeed. He is a guy that is Oxide 247 at LakersBall.com and also Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com, and his game Corrupt, still coming up right around the corner, right there on Steam. It is Joe Soro. Joe, the Lakers head into Hotlanta tonight for a matchup against the Hawks. I spoke to you and EJ last night. You guys were not very favorable, even though it on the surface looks like it's a favorable schedule over the next 7 games. You guys said the Lakers right now are in such despair that they can't even match that, or even look like they're going to be able to do well during that interim. Your thoughts on what Stone has been saying? Blowing up the team is now looking more and more like a good idea. He has hinted it for years now, ahead of everyone else. And it looks like it may be something the Lakers should more strongly consider, Joe.
Well, blowing up the team would unfortunately they had a chance to do that last year when they weren't obligated or contractually obligated to pay LeBron. They could have started this last year and said to LeBron, look, we appreciate what you've done. I've said this before. I'll say it again now that Stone's on. We appreciate what you've done. You brought a title here. Thank you for everything. And we will do everything we can to get you where you need to go play with your kid. And there probably would have been plenty of teams that would have taken him and Bronny to have that situation. I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty positive it would have worked out. And that would have probably solved, at the very least, the beginning of this next phase. The next phase, when I say next phase, the next phase, which is the LeBron AD post Lakers. Then what would likely happen, if it would be my guess, is I'm assuming AD would probably ask for a trade because he'd probably want to go play for a contender. I'm guessing. For all I know, AD was like, no, I'm staying here to rebuild. Cool. Either way, I would have been fine with that. Whether he stays or whether he gets traded. You win either way, in my opinion, because then at least you have a pillar that you can start building around and focusing more on that player versus another player that unfortunately just devours everything around him no matter what he does. And then that would have solved this kind of waste of a season, and what will likely be based off of money, if it's about money, what will likely be another wasted season because LeBron has another year on his contract, and if he feels like he wants to make another 50+ million, he'll take that deal. And then we have to wait another year after that, which in a lot of ways would be debilitating. You're just sitting here waiting. You're just here sitting waiting for someone to die, essentially. That probably wasn't a good phrase because death is different than sports, but it's the only thing I can think of that would put
the death of our fandom.
Yeah, it's going to make it much harder for us to really care. And I haven't been going to Laker games. This is the lowest I've been going to Laker games since I was a kid. When I got to San Diego, I was going to Laker games a lot. When I got to Temecula, I was going to games a lot. Like I was going to 4 games a year, 3-4 games a year. Now, I can't even remember the last time I went to a game. I think it was maybe 2 years ago. And one of them was an invite. I didn't even get the tickets. It was a friend of mine. It was the last game of the year. And it was a Clipper game. And for the first time in my life, I sat in the 300, the last seat up in the 300s, which if you don't have vertigo, you'll get it when you get there. And that's the kind of atmosphere they've created. And I have been to the crypt recently for other occasions, and the whole area is trash. It smells like piss everywhere. You have literal buildings that are graffitied from the first floor to the 20th floor. Now, I know this isn't Genie's and AEG's job to clean the area up, but you tell me, guys, why is that arena there? Is that arena there if it's not for AEG and the Bus family? The answer is no. So wouldn't they have a little bit of say in kind of how their business building needs to be kind of taken care of? You tell me. Maybe I'm speaking out of pocket here, but I know for a fact if I had a building, I have a building actually. I don't own it unfortunately, but I do lease it. If I start seeing some weird shit going on around my building, you don't think I'd be go talk to the landlord? What the hell is this? We had lights that were out, let alone graffiti. Lights, right? Shit happens, right? I talked to the landlord, the liaison between the landlord, the liaison that's between the landlord. I said, hey, man, my girls go to dance here. My wife sometimes comes here to have dinner, for a break. I go, these lights have to be on. So there's so much attached to this. We could talk for hours on this, on how little things, when you don't pay attention to them, create problems. And all of the markings are there. I'm using just something different now. Now I go to the mecca of basketball in the West Coast, which is what was Staples, right? Staples was known as, why do you think there's all those statues there of De La Hoya and there's a banner of Taylor Swift? It's not just a basketball court. It is the Madison Square Garden of the West Coast. Yet look what you've created around there. Look what you've allowed to happen. And now you're surprised that they've hammed the way they, pardon the pun again, hammed this roster and this culture here. Because these guys are dirty. They're dirty, guys. Because they wear nice clothes and they speak well. Oh, they're okay. I've had this discussion so many times with people. I go, in my life, I have felt more comfortable in areas that are suspect than being around these bourgeois yuppie motherfuckers. Those guys are scary because those guys will sell you at a drop of a hat and they don't care anything around them. They don't care about anything. They don't even care about their own family. So, went a little deep on this, but I think it's important that we continue to campaign for this monstrosity that continues to grow. That the Bus family, Rob Pelinka, the Rambi, whatever the hell you guys call them, these people, and I'm not, I don't know Kurt and his wife too well, so I'm not really putting them in this. They're just kind of like the people that'll basically support Genie. That's all they are. They're a support system. I don't really put them in this. But guys like Rob, guys like Genie, and Clutch, those are the fuckers that have fucked this up, and they need to go. They all need to go for this to get remedied. If they get this thing fixed in terms of the LeBron AD thing and they finally go forward, I still don't trust them because we already seen it. We already seen what happened when Dr. Buss passed away. We saw Jim Buss screw it up, and so much so that we disliked Mitch Kupchak after a pretty great career as a GM. He got us Paul Gasol, he got us Trevor Ariza, he got us CP3 until the league stepped in. That guy did his job, and he won championships. And he dealt with the immaturity of Shaquille O'Neal. He dealt with Kobe kind of being on him a little bit and never really said anything bad. Very class. Got made fun of for being a guy that didn't tamper. Fuck that. You're not supposed to get criticized for doing it right. So it's a lot. And we're passionate because we're Laker fans. And at this point, we are a small segment of the media in here, right? As much as that makes me cringe to say media, because we all get bunched into it. We are going to campaign for a change of leadership from the top. You already have those guys lurking. They already have a percentage there. I highly recommend Jeannie, if she ever hears this, Jeannie, it's time for you to let it go. Put it in somebody else's hands that can handle this because you can't anymore.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen and Joe Soro. We're just having lunch right here. And yes, that is how Joe talks at the lunch table. It is, of course, the Lakers fast
Well,
break.
I actually technically had a late breakfast. I had a little
Okay.
bagel with some Nutella in it.
Okay.
So I still have to have lunch. I'm still hungry, actually.
I had a bagel around 5 and
My crew got sick today. So I was supposed to be in San Diego. Everything got nixed. Yeah,
yes.
everything got nixed. I had to stay. And of course, the materials that was supposed to be delivered today, I was worried about my client getting fined for having rocks because they have an aggressive HOA. It turns out that the rock people called and said, "Hey, can we please bring it in the morning?" Which, of course, I have a new crew that's not sick that's coming tomorrow morning. So I could have done all this while I was in San Diego, but I didn't know at the time. The benefits of owning your own business. It is what. But hey, look, it turned out that I was able to get here for the show, so it worked out.
And you'll be sounds like you'll be there more available than I will be for tonight, as far as
Not really, because I got to go to an event
Okay.
this evening.
Well,
Unfortunately,
then there you go. All right, so you and I will probably be mostly incognito.
but then again, that could change too. I don't know. We'll see.
That could change. So it is again Joe Soro along with Stone Hansen. Stone, I I want to go ahead and mention what something Parade on Figueroa, one of our awesome Twitch fans that are there. Gerald, I appreciate Empire Jeff's balanced take last night. I feel LeBron gets too much blame. Hardly anyone would take less money. Kobe and Shaq did not. We wouldn't either, most likely. Well, I don't know. If I already have $1 billion in the bank, Stone, and I understand, I really want to win. It depends on what is your competitive flow? What is your competitive juices? That's where I want to come in there as far as what drives you at that point. Do you just want to be the best player or do you want to be on the best team? I'm more about the team if that's the case. So I probably say I probably would have asked for a different structure and probably would have said, you know what, my son's just not good enough. You have to look in the mirror and like what you see at the end of the day. The
Well, if he
problem
wanted
lies.
to be on the best team, he wouldn't be on the Lakers.
Well, that's true. That's true. Good point there because he had a chance at a free agency this past offseason. The problem lies in management, not the players. They give it an LBJ too much power, but every franchise has. Your thoughts on LeBron James? Because a lot of finger pointing has been at him. Some of it is deserved. I do think that there should have been sacrifices made. Understanding the roster, if you wanted to stay with the Lakers, Bronny should have been put on a two-way at best, and even that Joe and I would argue is way too much deserved. But if that's the case, again, just the decisions that were made in this offseason, not just by LeBron, but by management not doing anything except for getting Dalton Connect, it's proven that there were many mistakes made from 2020 on in order to get to where we are now. Still.
Yeah, I, I've been critical of LeBron in the past. I mean, in his Miami days, I actually started out as like a LeBron hater. I hated LeBron, everything he did, and then I kind of came to the realization that he's just really good at basketball. So when I sort of just let go of whatever it was as to why I didn't like him, I'm like I'm missing out on a really good basketball player. So I enjoyed watching him a lot more. Um, and like the bottom line is that he he gave the Lakers every chance in the world this offseason. He gave them a couple weeks to be like, I'll take a pay cut if you guys can bring in a better team. He gave him a couple weeks to do something.
But only with specific players. That's what, from what we're told, that he would give that cut.
Sure, and honestly, rightly so, right? Because why would you take a $30 million discount to bring in an eighth man? Like to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're just trying to upgrade, a lesser valuable player, and to be honest, like the list of players that were attainable, none of them would have bolstered our championship contention.
Certainly not
Percentage.
Clay, for what I'm seeing so far in Dallas.
We dodged a bullet there. I mean, DeRozan was probably the best guy on the list, but he was never going to come for a mid-level
and he's been
exception.
a bad fit for Sacramento so far.
Well, yeah, because he can't shoot. But this is just, he gave them chances. He gave them opportunities. The Lakers didn't capitalize on it, and like we can. I think I'm a lot less critical of the Bronny thing, where I think it's the 55th pick, and I don't think it changes anything in terms of the where this team goes, the direction of this team. But I mean, obviously, like there's some nepotism at play, along with how the entire Lakers organization, par for the course, right? But the the real thing here is that the Lakers are enabling LeBron to do what he wants, right? This isn't LeBron is holding the Lakers as hostage or anything. The Lakers are letting him. I mean, is it really LeBron's fault if he's allowed to do these things, right? Like, I mean, if you're given the opportunity to make your son a multimillionaire and you have 50 million pushed in front of your face, I'd do that. I mean, I would. The Bronny's coming here. The Lakers aren't going to get any better. They're not going to make the contenders. So Bronny taking up the 15th spot, to me, if he was my son, I'd probably do it and make him a millionaire and live out his dream. If the Lakers wanted it to not happen, the Lakers should put their foot down. Is really where it comes to it for me. The Lakers are enabling this, and if they want it to stop, they're the ones that have the power to do it. They're the ones that have the power to stop whatever they want to be stopped. So if LeBron wants to continue doing what he wants to do, that's on them, in my opinion. They're the ones that let him do it, and they've done this. This is the Laker way. The whole culture is let the stars do whatever they want, keep the stars happy, no matter what it does detrimental to the team. And this is why we haven't traded anyone, and why we won't trade anyone until it's on under their own volition. That's why I want to lose, because I want AD to get sick of this and ask out. I want LeBron to get sick of this and retire. But they're not going to leave until they want to leave. And this is the Lakers' way: is cater to the stars, no matter who they are, no matter what they want. And if they didn't do that, then we wouldn't be as frustrated with some of LeBron's moves. But they enable it.
With the Lakers heading into Atlanta, I know a lot of people are saying again that the Lakers. Normally 2 weeks ago, Joe would have said they would have had a very competitive chance against Atlanta. Now, not so much, because they're on such a bad streak. Things are not looking good. The defense is horrendous. The offense is just not clicking as well. What differences with what pieces we have should JJ make? I'm not giving JJ a free pass. I know you've been more kinder to JJ than I've been in recent days in regards to this. I think that some of times he's been outcoached clearly in the second half, making adjustments. His defensive schemes obviously have not worked out. He is a rookie coach, so he is going to get his lumps. I said that since the beginning of the season. But when it comes right down to it, what adjustments do you think JJ can make to get this team at least a little bit more competitive with what he has right now, Joe?
I don't think there are any adjustments he can make. Atlanta is on a winning streak right now. I believe they're on a 5-game winning streak, and 2 of those wins are against Cleveland.
Yes, and because it's the cup, and they've been really good. They've already qualified for the quarterfinals.
The reason why I'm not blaming JJ Redick is because we all need to open our eyes and understand that what's been the common denominator the last 3 seasons. You can't blame it on JJ Redick. You can blame a little bit on Darvin Ham, maybe not in the day-to-day coaching side, but I thought his demeanor and his communication with important games was just terrible. Absolutely horrid. I have not forgotten the Laker fans take each game too seriously, especially after ending the season last year, where if you had just won 5 more games, you would have had a 4th seed. You would have given yourself a shot to really have something going your way. And if you're not prepared to play all 82 games, then maybe you should go do something else for a living. You're getting paid 50, 40, 30 to whatever millions of dollars to play basketball. I, as the fan who's spending 3 fucking hours a day watching you and then doing a show for another 3 hours, I expect you to play. And if you can't play, then fucking retire. I don't know why that's a surprise. Is that asking too much? And as a coach, Shouldn't you be asking that? You're coaching these guys. I remember vividly. Okay, Rick Fox was having a kid. It was with Vanessa Williams. I know it was a playoff game. It's different, but still, I'm sure it's the same because he also got irritated about Kobe breaking his hand at the beginning of the year in 2000. What happened when you didn't play a game? Everybody got all weird, and that was with someone having a kid. Now, somebody who wants to go and get their mental time, whatever the fuck it is now that they call it, your mental wellness. Motherfucker, if you want to be mental wellness, don't take a guaranteed contract then. If you want to go take Havasu trips. We all saw what happened there. His ass got shipped out. Sabalos took a trip to Havasu without telling anybody. His ass got shipped out right away. Now, if somebody does that, oh, come on. When he was 4 years old, somebody yelled at him. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. So now I'm going to be the fury that balances that out a little bit. I'm going to come in there with all your feelings and say, grow the fuck up. You're making $20, $30, $40 million. You're supposed to play. And not only are you supposed to play, you're supposed to win. That's you. That's you guys saying that. You. During your little media days. And we're here to play hard. And we're here to give 110%. And we're here. We feel we, if. Some of us aren't stupid. There's a lot of stupid people out there. Believe me. I get it. But we're not. We're not. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, see, I told you. Because we're not winning either here. I have to sit here and watch this shit. And the only reason why I am is because I love my people here and I love our audience. And that's why I'm here. Because I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't be watching every game. They don't deserve it. And it's not a singular season. It's not 2 seasons. It's not 3 seasons. Has nothing to do with any of that. It's how pompous and arrogant unknowingly they have been in being this shitty and not doing something about it. Because that's how they're looking at it. Well, they're just going to sell jerseys and they're just going to do this and they're just going to do that. Really? That's where you go? That's what happens? You don't want to blame LeBron for this? Good. I don't know if I could do that because he's the one that was the catalyst in wasting valuable time in drafting a guy that has no business in the NBA. 0. His son has no business in college, let alone the NBA. And as far as his dream, I might be wrong. That motherfucker doesn't give a fuck about basketball. He don't give a shit about basketball. Does it look like he cares about basketball? You tell me. Whose dream was it for the son and father thing? It's fucking LeBron. And nothing to do with his kid. If LeBron sat his kid down and said, your ass is staying at USC and getting better, then you're going to be in the NBA. You think he would have said no? Fuck no. He would have said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. No. They're all to blame. Rich Paul, LeBron, Jeannie, Pelinka. But Stone is right. They are enabling it. So ultimately, it's their fault solely. It's their company. It's their business. Now, as far as catering to the stars, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if this is moving the goalpost for you all, but last time I checked, when they were catering to stars, those stars were still doing their business. Even when the Lakers were losing in 05, 06, 07, and apparently they were catering to Kobe, he was still pissed off that they were losing. That's a guy that didn't give a shit about any of that. He wanted to win. Shaq wanted to get paid and win. Fine. You want to get paid? That's fine. But look what happened in that instance. Dr. Bus says, big guy, I can't pay you 30 a year, bro. I can't. I'll pay you 20. But here's the other problem is, if I pay you 20, I'm going to lose the kid. I'm going to lose the kid. You want that? You want to do this? They went their separate ways. It was right away. It wasn't some 2-3 year odyssey of let's see if something can happen. Oh, let's bring in JJ Redick, who's never coached us. JJ Redick coached the exact same basketball games as Stone, as Gerald, as all of you and me. And now we're supposed to go, oh, what's JJ Redick doing wrong? after 2 years, the last 2 years, of seeing the exact same shit that's going on right now happening. So what? JJ Redick amoeba into this, and now it's his fault? No, I'm not blaming a single game this year on JJ Redick. Not one single game. This is on Clutch, Genie, Rob, and LeBron. And until those guys are all gone, this thing will never really go where we want it to go. Get the Guggenheims in here now. They have 27% of this team. Make it 100%. AEG doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They're struggling as well. They own the property. They own arena. Get this shit to the people who are ready to take over and acclimate to this new shitty CBA that we have to see what happens with. That's it. There's nothing else. I mean, I guess we're going to keep talking about this, but I'll keep, try to create creative ways to say it. That's all I can do.
Once again, it is Lunch with Stone Hansen. It is Joe Soro, along with me, Joe Glassford, and of course, Stone Hansen himself. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. So with that, on the horizon is a draft that many people are really looking forward to. I don't know about the Lakers because as of now, they don't have a first. It's in the hands of Atlanta. And Atlanta, who they're playing tonight, would love to smack another loss on the Lakers, as it would put the Lakers even farther down on the totem pole in the Western Conference. They would like to see them fall from grace even more, Stone. So the depressing thing is, Stone, that the Lakers can't even lose. They can't even tank at this point because they don't own their first round pick. So with that, in this draft, I know everybody's looking at the, capture the flag, plant that flag, 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 Cooper Flag. There you go. Cooper Flag until you die. He has actually been very good at times. Recently, he's been a little bit better than that. But I know everybody's looking at the top of the draft, but always go to @report_court because there's always some names that are starting to stick out with Stone Hansen, isn't there?
Yeah, I'll get to the draft in just a second, but really quick, I think just because we don't have the pick, that shouldn't stop us from rooting for the Lakers to continue to lose. We should continue to want them to lose because it forces them to do something. And you put that amount of when people lose enough, it cracks. It starts to crumble. And I want us to lose as much as possible and force AD to ask out, force LeBron into retirement, start over. I want to lose even though we don't have the pick. And the Lakers should actively be working the phones to figure out a 3-team deal to bring back our 25 and 27 first by shipping out AD because it's debilitating that we don't have those picks. But yeah, anyway, that's enough of my Lakers rooting to blow it up. But this is a good draft. I've only watched about of the freshmen about 10 guys because it's a slow burn for me. Well, number one, I do this more as a hobby than a job at this point in my life now, and then also I take so long to evaluate one player because I really want to get it right rather than get to the maximum amount of players possible. So it takes me, a while to get through and watch 5-6 games of a player before I can have a legitimate conclusion of them. But yeah, of the 10 guys, it's a fairly strong draft. I really like Cooper. I really like Dylan Harper. I actually, at this point in time, don't know who my number one is going to be between those two. I like Harper and Flag quite a bit. Neither of them are Wembanyama prospects for those that more casually watch the draft. Like Wembanyama is a one of one. Neither of them are going to be that level of prospect, and it'd be unfair to compare them. But I think you're still gonna have. I'd say like Cade, Mobley tier of prospects at the top, which are very, very good players. So that's I think more what you're looking at rather than this once in a generation alien like Wemby. But I think it's going to be a solid draft. I think it's going to be a lot deeper than last year's class. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Last year's class was I mean, I said it on here, but it's just not good, to be blunt. This year's class is going to be really strong. I don't think to the the level of the Wembenyama class. I think that class from top to bottom is an all timer. But this class, I think, is going to be pretty strong, much stronger than last year.
And with that, let me ask you this: Rutgers, who for having two guys in the top 5 right now in most mock drafts, I was kind of surprised when I've watched them only briefly. Just again, they're young kids, so I was hoping that they'd get off to a better start than they did to become a little bit stronger. But they've had a pretty decent schedule that they faced. Dylan Harper has been talked about in some circles as possibly, until this week's run by Cooper Flagg, possibly being neck and neck for the number 1 spot in some people's eyes. I mean, I don't know how much you've seen him. Probably just not very. Like you said, you're just getting into it. You evaluate. You take a long time to evaluate just one prospect. So, do you see that that's the case? That somebody may be able to, even if it's not Harper, may be able to catch up to Flagg? Because I think the hype on Flagg will probably, if he stays healthy, will probably, for me, hype alone will probably just allow him to stay number 1. But there's some little rumblings here and there I've heard in the past 10 days in regards to Dylan Harper as well.
I think any class this early in the draft, for a lot of drafts, it's not open and shut. And I don't think it should be until you get a really good sample size of guys. Now, there's cases where you have Lukas, you have Wemby's, which I mean, Luka should have been unanimously the number 1 guy for most people, and in Wemby, those are the cases where it's pretty clear. But 5-6 games in, and most of the time, many years prior of film that you have, 2, 3, 4 years of high school, international film, whatever the case may be, you have a pretty good idea this is going to be the number 1 pick no matter what happens this year. I think this season it's not quite as open and shut. I think Flagg is. I mean, I've watched him in high school. He's been really good. I got to watch more Dylan Harper in high school still, but I think it'd be wrong to have a clear lock number 1 at this early part of the season. I'd wait a little longer to open and shut that title for whoever the number 1 pick is for people.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, Joe, Stone, and others. In fact, I heard Stone retweet with yes when somebody else out there on Twitter proposed that the Lakers start to blow up. He has been a big proponent for that for years. He's been ahead of the curve. Is it time, Joe? I know you said that you did not want AD to be traded.
It's time, Joe.
It's time. So, is it time for AD to be traded?
I think it's time to just turn the page at this point. And AD's going to be the only guy that's going to give you any kind of chance to get resources back. And there's a team out there that I think can win a championship with him right away. Like that trade would go, oh, they're going to win a championship, barring any injuries. There's a few teams that could do that. So there's a trade for AD would go very smoothly, in my opinion. It might be the easiest trade you could make because there will be interest, and AD is still very, very valuable for the right team. And he can kind of get away from this LA LeBron fiasco. I am positive. I am pretty positive. Can't again guarantee it that when he's sitting by himself, probably talking to his wife, family members, it's just like, this thing sucks. I there's no way. He's too smart. He's too intelligent not to be saying that. But what he's not doing, and I do have a little bit of appreciation for him, is he's not rocking the boat. And there's a good and bad there. At this point, what difference would it make? Okay, so he demands a trade, right? Now what? What's going to happen?
Tank.
I mean,
Tank for Cam Boozer in 2026.
he'd have to leave Clutch because Clutch.
Well, how many picks do you think he'll get? Because Bridges got 5 and a pick swap. So
Well, I'd like to get some talent in return over picks.
well, you have to just because of the budgetary reasons. You'll have to.
Yeah, I'd want to get at least 2 players that are actually starters, and then maybe 3 firsts or 4 firsts. I think ideally for me, I want 2 legitimate NBA starters and then 4 first-round picks for AD.
Okay.
And then I'd personally look to trade those starters again a second time and get 2 firsts out of those guys. I feel like if you're tanking, tank all the way is how I view it. Whatever, any asset that can bring you picks, like the Thunder did, really, any asset that can bring you picks, you flip them for picks, and you collect as many as you can. You have as many chances to hit on young players as possible, and you lose more. And the more you lose, the better your odds. All we have is the 26th first over the next 3 years. That sucks terribly. Any move we move AD for, I would want to get. I'd try my hardest to get the 25 and 27 Lakers first back in some sort of multi-team deal. Obviously, AD is not going to go to the Jazz or the Hawks, but you'd have to bring in multiple teams to make it work. But I think those picks are worth doing it when you're going to go for a tank. You want to have your own picks. So that would be my first call to both those teams and be like, hey, what can we do to make this happen where we get our own first back and we have a chance to really get some solid players over the next few years and some pillars to build around, some young pillars to build around. I think that's what the Lakers should do, but I've said it and we all know it, that it's just not going to happen until they want out, and we have to make them want out. We have to make them want out by losing big, getting blown out over and over again. That's the only way they're going to want out of LA. That's what it comes down to. And I think that the Lakers, I'm getting excited about a realistic possibility of the Lakers getting blown out the rest of the season so that we can get that change of direction that I want and have been wanting. And look, I think the Lakers, even if they were to do it this season, they're late to the game. They should have done this in 2021 when you had more assets to trade for picks. LeBron, I think he had a few years left in his career where it was a little more viable, where he could possibly be moved. At this point, LeBron's never going to get traded. Why would he want to? He's just going to finish out his career in LA. He's not going to go through the whole trade process and move his family across the country and all this stuff. So you're not going to be able to trade LeBron, but you can still trade AD before it's too late. And the Lakers are too late on a lot of things, but this window is still open to get what you can for AD before he's a free agent or before he, God forbid, has a terrible injury. Like there's still time to make this complete 180 of a direction for the team to happen. So I'm really hoping that happens. That is my championship goal this season. We're not going to get a championship. I want AD moved. That is my championship this year. That's where it's gotten to.
So Stone, I'll bring it back to you one last time before I head over to Joe before we leave. It is again Lunch with Stone Hansen. Hopefully you'll return later today. As far as for playback.tv, South Lakers Fast Break, and then the post game. I don't know who's going to host it yet because I will be in and out. Today is a day of UNLV, on the 1 year anniversary of a shooting on campus that killed 3 teachers. Tonight they go against in their biggest game ever. How ironic is that? How things fall into place. Their biggest football game ever on the road at Boise State. I know a lot of eyes here in Las Vegas will be on that, but I will be in and out in the chat. I don't know who will be hosting. I'm probably going to reach out to John. So John, Xbox said he's already going to be up for it as well. So you'll have plenty of guests here with very opinionated. So the opinions don't leave just because Joe or I may not be here. So never fear. So where the hell's Jerry or where the hell's Joe? It's okay. We still got a lot of great voices here. Howard Hill, Laker Nick, and the list goes on and on. Plus the Lakerholics are coming tomorrow as well. So yeah, they're all feisty and riled up as well. So we'll see what happens. But it is Lakers in Atlanta. But before we head on out, Stone, plug what you're doing, man, at report_court. But that's just one part of the equation when it comes to Stone Hansen.
Yeah, I'm at report_court. That's where all my work is. On Blue Sky now too, at Full Court Report, Blue Sky. And then, Upside Swings is the podcast, the draft podcast that we host. We just joined a network, the Center Hub, which is kind of like a NBA draft conglomerate. So we're hoping to do some sort of collaborative work later on in the season, individually and collectively at some point. All of our schedules are pretty up in the air between the three of us. So that's why you're not getting as many episodes as frequently, but we do hope to put out some more content as the season goes on and closer to the draft. And we'll you can any work I do, you can find it at report_court.
Joe, again, you and I will be in and out at best during the course of the game and also the post game. But your thoughts on where we're at heading into tonight's game and the weekend before we head on out?
Prepare for the worst tonight.
Hope for the worst tonight.
They have won 5 in a row, so they are.
My mechanism doesn't work.
Atlanta.
Even when I knew they had to tank between 14 and 18. It was absolutely, my guts were just
bleh. I would enjoyed that portion of the Lakers more than I currently enjoy it now, because I knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel. There was a prize at the bottom of the bag. With the Lakers, we know it's an 8 seed and first out, right? And that's, at least with terrible rosters, something good was on the way when they had their own picks. That made it worth it for me. Now it's not as fun, but hope for a blowout, Joe. Hope that we get beat by 50 points.
But on the brighter news, I just wanted to say Twitter just came in now. Shams Sharania just reported, my apologies, Stone. Quincy Olivari is finalizing a shoe endorsement deal with the Curry brand. Stephen Curry's standalone venture at Under Armour, according to Shams Sharania and ESPN. So
that's cool of Curry, I guess, after the interview Quincy had where he's, that's good for him, I guess.
And I remember, him saying he was such a huge fan of Curry. So, yeah, a good moment for him that, as a two-way player, that there's a future for him. And Joe, this season, of course, for many, it's going to be probably a down one, but maybe a ray of hope in the development of a guy like Olivari, who may turn out to be a player one day, Joe.
Hopefully indeed. But
again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Lunch with Stone Hansen. Please start your day by stopping by at report_court on Twitter if you can. He does a great job. He's on Blue Sky as well as we are, so go ahead and follow him on Blue Sky. He's already leading me in followers, lucky guy. So there you go. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Joe and I, again, will be intermittent, so please, you have been warned ahead of time in regards to tonight's action, both on the court, on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Are you stopping by for the playback, by the way, Stone?
I won't be able to. I'm going to some Christmas thing with the family tonight.
No worries.
The holiday season.
Well, I'm hoping we will have another lunch again before Christmas holiday, but if we can't for some reason, I wish you and the family the happiest of holidays.
Thank you, too.
All right. Joe, the Grinch himself. Oh, there you go. There's good. Yeah, see, you're nice to another human being, and this is where the Grinch pops up.
We hope you have a fabulous day, Stone, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and yours. I still don't know what the hell that means, by the way. What is this? You and yours. Yours what? What if you're an orphan?
Blue wants to know, how many times have you dressed up as Santa, Joe?
I've worn the hat. That's it.
Well, the hat behind me right there on the Christmas tree, I'll be wearing closer.
I
to
dressed as
holiday.
the mask one time in high school.
Oh, there you go.
The yellow suit, the mask, the hat. Yeah. Tight
All
pants,
right.
too.
Yeah, that I didn't need to know. Not at all. But of
Well,
course,
I was built like an Adonis in high school, though, so it wasn't bad.
but worked with the ladies. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's got to be a show in and of itself. Casanova Joe. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There. Well, actually, write a
Casanova.
book.
No.
You write a book. Write a book. It'll sell. Okay, it is lunch with Stone Hansen. We got to go back off the lunch table. We got to leave, tip our waitress, and head on out. But we'll be back hopefully sometime this weekend. You know, the guys will be covering it. We'll have playback. We'll have a post game. We'll have all that fun stuff tonight right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Carl's Jr. sounds good right now. The only problem is, do I want to put a down payment on food there?
It's a shame in today's modern lunches, Carl's Jr. is an afterthought.
Yeah. I just don't want to pay $45 for a meal.
I don't blame you.